Hello everyone, welcome to this welcome to this reading vlog. I am excited about it. Today, or this vlog, we're going to be doing round 2, episode 2 of my Dark Academia journals. I am very excited. Episode 1, I read Ninth House to prepare for Hellbent, which I still haven't read yet. Put a poll up on my community page. I will well, I guess I don't have to link it, like you can just see it, to see which book I should read for this vlog. I put it up maybe like a week or so ago. So the 3 books that I have to choose from for my next Dark Academia read: The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, we have Babel by R.F. Kuang, and then Vita Nostra by Marina and Sergi Diet. I don't know how I say this. This one, I started today in the NICU. I'm back in the NICU, so my brain is kind of dead. But isn't it interesting how these are all black and gold vibes? I just find that very interesting. So these are our 3 options. So let's see. The first time I went and looked, Babel was winning, right? Yeah, I think Babel was winning, and then when I looked back a couple days later, the Atlas 6 was winning. So I really have no idea. I don't know which one will win. Wow, clear winner. Yeah, I had a feeling. I'm taking a screenshot. I had a feeling this one was gonna win. The winner is Babel by R.F. Kuang with 51%. So we are going to start this. I thought this was gonna win, and I am kind of excited because I've been— you okay, Toby? He has a hairball. I'm excited to read this. It is a thicker book, which is a little intimidating. 530 pages. I do have to say though, I have been craving a big book after reading Anna Karenina. I don't know, I really loved having a really big book to like delve into. I've actually heard mixed things about this. I feel like it's not a clear-cut like winner. I personally think I'm really gonna like it. Okay, hello. It is the next day and I did read some of Babel last night. I got 30 pages in. Sorry, my window is open. Yeah, I got to page 30 and I'm really enjoying it. The writing is excellent. I can already see all the kind of like social commentary that's going on here. So far we've met our main character. This won't have any spoilers, by the way. I will keep spoilers out of this vlog. But so far we've met our main character. His name is Robin, or that's the name that he chose for himself. He is this Chinese boy, and the opening scene of this book, I really liked it. You're following him and he's in his home and he's surrounded by death because the plague came upon the town that he lives in, and he's dying, and then this professor comes and saves him and brings him to London, where he's going to study languages. So we're kind of learning a little bit of the magic so far. I'm really enjoying it. I've already had some of the like footnotes at the bottom, which is interesting. And I was like debating, you know how like when you annotate, sometimes you like debate if you want to annotate or not. So that's what I was doing, and then I had to go back and I decided to annotate. I think I'm only going to underline. I'm not going to highlight. I don't know what it is, but like annotating in hardcovers is so hard for me to do. It's like physically hard for me to do it, but I was underlining. There's been some nice quotes. Like the first sentence is actually really good. I'll read you the first sentence. By the time Professor Richard Lovell found his way through Canton's narrow alleys to the faded address in his diary, the boy was the only one in the house left alive. It's a pretty good first sentence. It is already a little bit pretentious, which I like, because I feel like all dark academia, that's the point of it, but it definitely is a little bit pretentious already, but I'm liking it, and I'm loving already that we're getting some etymology. It's not what it's called. We're learning like the origins of words. We're getting a little bit of that too, which I'm really liking, and I'm thinking of even making that a tabbing system, because I bet we're gonna have a bunch of it. But I'm gonna sit now and read a bit because I am really enjoying it. All right, hello everyone. Ignore my hair, I haven't done it yet. It is Sunday. This weekend has been wildness, just pure craziness. But I thought I would come update you on Babel. This reading vlog is not going as I wanted for the Dark Academia vlog. I wanted to get more updates as I was reading, but you know, life does its thing. And now I think, okay, I'm like 78 pages in, and I am really loving it still. We're getting a little bit more of the magic system. There are these like silver bars. I'm not quite sure what they do, but they provide some kind of magic. We had a really interesting scene. I don't want to give spoilers. Again, it's gonna be so hard to talk about without spoilers, but we've already met some other characters, like the other translators. So Robin is now at Oxford, and he is like getting the tour of where his studies are going to be, and oh my gosh, it just makes me miss college so much. This is why I love academia books. It's so much fun. But he has met his other classmates. There are 3 other classmates. One of them is his roommate named Rami. And then he had 2 other girls. Oh, I forgot their names. I like literally just met them. So what are their names? Let's see. Rami is Indian, and then the two girls, one is a black girl, one's a white girl. Letty, and she had a French name, started with a V, but I can't remember now. Victoire. I think that's how you say it. Victoire, I don't know. But yes, we just met them, so I'm not sure how I feel about them. Well, Rami, we've had a little bit because they're roommates, and they had like 3 days off of school, and they were just like running around Oxford. It was so nice. And then yeah, so now they're having like their first orientation, and I'm really like, it is a little bit later in the day. I made my annotation system. I thought I would share it with you, and then I've been wanting to talk about the fact that I went to Oxford. That's why I've been wearing this shirt, but we'll talk about that in a second. So first, I came up with my annotation system, which of course now I can't find. Where did I put it? If you haven't seen my video before, I'll probably just do a close-up of this. If you haven't seen my videos before, I come up with my annotation system if I decide to do like an in-depth one. Sometimes I just like underline nice quotes, and then I just tab in whatever colors. So sometimes I like to do in-depth annotation systems. I don't know if I'm just noticing like themes. I don't know, basically if I want to. I don't always do it. Okay, but this one I definitely want to, because I'm noticing themes, and I think that is all gonna like come together really nicely in the end, and I want to track some of the things, and also some of the stuff is just kind of fun to track. Like, for example, I mentioned earlier the etymology, like the origin of words, is so fascinating. Because this whole book, the premise, if in case you don't know what Babel's about, the whole premise of this is that they are these these young adults are being recruited to work at Babel, which is this tower in Oxford, England, and they are translators, so they know different languages. So that's, they come to Babel and they kind of like translate works, but there's also this magic system at the very top of the tower where, like, we haven't learned quite enough about it, but it's something with silver and the power of words, and it's like translations, and it can like do different things. I don't know, it's really hard to explain because we haven't seen too much of it yet. It takes place in the like mid 19th century, so there's obviously like a lot of racism, and it's talking about colonialism and just like translation in general, but it's also like the love of words and literature and books and academia. So I'm really enjoying it a lot. This is just so good. Oh, and history, it's a lot about history, and you can tell the author is definitely like correcting history, kind of give her own take of like what actually happened. The annotation system that I kind of came up with is pink is going to be quotes I love. I always have one for just quotes I love. It may not fit a certain theme, but it's just like I just love the sound of it. Sometimes it's just like a phrase that I love, so I'll do that. Yellow will be the etymology. Light green are the themes of like racism and colonialism, and I'm sure there's going to be more. So I have light green for now, but I can definitely add more themes. That's the great thing about building your annotation system as you're reading. Blue is just the magic system in general, and any world building that I think is interesting, and yeah, basically just that I find interesting. I know some people mark it to like keep track of and like, I guess remember, but I really just put like, oh, this is a really cool scene about the magic system, so I mark it. I don't know. And then lastly, I have brown. This is one that I added towards the end, and this is like the power, the author showing like the power of words and just the love of literature and books and reading and academia, things like that, because there's a lot of it and I really like it. Some of it's very beautiful, so I want to mark that. So there's my annotation system. I'm really enjoying it. Like I said, I can definitely add more as I want. Okay, so now let's talk about how I studied abroad at Oxford. In college, I studied abroad at Oxford. I was in Trinity College, which is mentioned in the book, and it was so beautiful. I loved it. Oxford is an incredible university. I just did like a summer abroad program there, and I studied, I cannot remember the names of the classes now, but I took like a medical, no, it was like a medical ethics class or something like that. It was definitely ethics, but it had like more medical stuff. I had that class. I took a history class. It was like a very specific small part of history, and it was about England. I cannot remember. College was a long time ago. And then I also took a literature class. It was incredible. Oxford was amazing. And we had like our afternoon tea every time. I'm gonna put like pictures here so you guys can see. We had like afternoon tea. We had our lunches like at the big tables like they've been describing in the books. And like all the little, like the actual town of Oxford was so pretty with like the cobblestone steps. It was such a fun time. And then of course while I was there, we got to travel abroad. So I went to like Paris, I went to Scotland, I went to Edinburgh, which was amazing. I went to, obviously we went to London. It was just such an incredible trip, and I really want to go back to Oxford and visit again. The little bars in Oxford, it was just such a fun, incredible summer. So this is like really especially special to read this book because I can like picture everything there that she's saying. So it's really nice. And it's like when she's like describing the gardens and stuff, Trinity College, we did have this like really pretty garden. I remember we would always like sit out there and read and like study or just like hang out. It was just such a good time. But yeah, like I said, I'm really enjoying it. So I think I'm gonna go downstairs to my little pool area, sit outside, get some sun, and read a little bit since I have to go to work tomorrow, which is sad. But yeah, I'm loving this book so much. it is now Thursday night, and I've spent a lot of today reading and catching up on Babel. I made it past book 3 and I'm on chapter 14, almost 240 pages in, and it was slowing down a little bit. Like the pacing was starting to slow down a little bit, but they just had their big exams at the end of 3rd year, which was really interesting, and I felt very like I don't know, she described like the stress of studying and putting everything into your academics, I thought so well, and how like they were like going mad studying. I thought it was kind of funny, but I am really liking that. But I am ready for things to kind of like pick up. Well, I do love obviously the school setting and hearing about their studies. I'm waiting for the plot to kind of like pick up a little bit and for something to happen. Because right now you're just following them around school, which I do like, but I just know that there's so much more to this book, so that's what I'm waiting for. But I thought I would read one of these quotes that I highlighted because it's so interesting. It's talking about translation, because that's a lot obviously of what their studies are about. So they're having a discussion about like how faithful and how true translations can be. So he says, "Is faithful translation impossible then?" Professor Playfair challenged. "Can we never communicate with integrity across time and space?" Betrayal. Translation means doing violence upon the original, means warping and distorting it for foreign, unintended eyes. So then where does that leave us? How can we conclude except by acknowledging that an act of translation is then necessarily always an act of betrayal? Do we try our hardest as translators to render ourselves invisible, or do we remind the reader that what they are reading was not written in their native language? I don't know, that just made me think about translators more. I don't know. I'm really liking this book, but like I said, I am ready for things to pick up a little bit. I'm going to get ready for bed now, and then I will probably catch up with you all this weekend. All right, hello. It is now Monday. And I was sitting here reading Babel. I told you all that I've been waiting and waiting for something to happen. Well, I just got to part 4. Yeah, 4. And a lot of stuff just happened. Finally, oh my gosh. There's a big thing that, well, 2 big things that happened. I'm not gonna spoil, but like finally, oh my gosh. No, I'm really curious how the rest of the book is gonna go. Because like I said, it was good, but it was just like, just not really anything was happening. But yes, what just happened was absolutely wild. I cannot wait to keep reading. I'm on chapter 19, which is about like almost 330 pages in. So I'm more than halfway now. I am more than halfway. And I'm really liking it. I am watching some older sprints of Throne of Pages. I forgot. Throne of Pages sprints, which is helping me focus. So I'm going to read some of this. June 13th, and this morning I just finished Babel. I had like 10 or so more pages to finish, and I really enjoyed the ending. Like I really liked how she ended it, and then the little epilogue that we got, I really liked that too. And she even set it up where if she wanted to, I don't think she will, but she could write a sequel if she wanted, and I would read it. I do think, like as I said before, it I think it was a little too long. I think that she was very repetitive in the point she was trying to get across, and they weren't like subtle about the point she was trying to make about colonialism, about racism, all of that. So it got a little bit repetitive, and I do think that the pacing was off a little bit. Some parts of it were a little too slow. The scenes that were like really epic and shocking, I feel like you couldn't, I don't know, I felt like I didn't really feel like the consequences of them as much. But overall, I still really enjoyed this book. Like, I mean, this is like an incredible feat. Just like looking at this as the author writing this book is like incredible. I can see the amount of work and passion that went into this. So I'm leaning like a 4.5 stars. I'm not sure, not a 5-star quite, just because there are some parts that are really slow. But I wanted to end this off with some quotes because there was one part in here. I know that this is a or at least I've heard people say, I don't know if this is accurate. I want to go look it up myself and try to find interviews of the author speaking about how this is a response to The Secret History. Because I wonder if people just made that up. So the main character, Robin, is like just finally having like realizations about his place in Babel, his place in the empire, and the like changes that he can actually make. And what's going on in his motherland, right? And he's thinking about how when he first came to Oxford, he was just like taken away by the ability to study and learn all these different languages, and how that's like all he could think about. So it says, at life and all of its preoccupations, thinking about like talking about Greek and Latin languages and things like that, and debating all these different things. That life and all of his preoccupations seemed insane to him now. He could not believe there was ever a time when his greatest concerns were what color neckties to order for Randall's, or what insults to shout at houseboats hogging the river during rowing practice. It was all such frippery, fluff, trivial distractions built over a foundation of ongoing, unimaginable cruelty. I feel like that is a direct response to like The Secret History, in that book. That is exactly what they did. They kept like talking about their dead languages and like arguing with each other about what they were studying, and they're actually living such a grand life, but they felt like they were these like sad characters. And even though there was like a murder thing in that book, it's like there's so much deeper topics that could be had. I feel like that's what the author is trying to say. I thought that was interesting. And then actually on the same page, I thought this was a good quote too. Power did not lie in the tip of a pen. Power did not work against its own interests. Power could only be brought to heel by acts of defiance it could not ignore, with brute, unflinching force, with violence. I like that one too. Like the main character also really changes towards the end of the book. He definitely becomes more of a proponent for violence, because at the beginning of the book, he's definitely more quiet, and he literally like can't speak sometimes because he doesn't know the words to say, or he just like becomes silent because he doesn't know what to do. But he definitely becomes more powerful and more violent. Oh my gosh, that reminds me, the character Griffin, who is a character in here that's in like the secret society. There was a scene, if you read this book, where he comes to like save people and you finally got like a little bit more complexity to him. I was like, oh my gosh, he would be such a cool character. I don't know if I said this already. He would be such a cool character to follow. Like, I would love a whole book just on him, because at first you're not really sure if you really like him. You're not really sure what's going on with him, but he's like kind of a villain, but not really, because he's actually on the side of the secret society. But he's like really dark, and I was like really liking him. I think he would have been a really cool character to follow. Like, it would have been a whole different perspective to get it from someone who's like just all about violence, and you know, I don't know, that would have been a really cool aspect. Like I said, I think she would have been really great. She would be really great at writing a book from the perspective of a villain. I think I said that in a different clip. I really do think that. And then finally, lastly, the epilogue of this book, I was wondering if, I'm not gonna say what it was because I don't want to spoil anything, but I was wondering if we were gonna get this in the epilogue, which, so I'm so glad we did. It was such a great final chapter, and like I said, I could see there being a next book. So yes, I really enjoyed this. I had some issues with it, but overall I really liked it. Hello. So I had to run away after that last clip because my Uber arrived, but I wanted to come end out the vlog and finish telling you my final thoughts on Babel. So I was saying I really enjoyed this, and I did go and watch an interview of R.F. Kuang talking about the book. She didn't mention anything specifically about the secret history, but she did mention how this was, like, she had this question of like how these institutions like Oxford, Cambridge, Harvard, Yale, Princeton continue to uphold these traditions of colonialism. And that was like the big question that she had, that she wanted to, that like brought forth this book. And then she also talked about how she was actually inspired also by Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell, which is a book I haven't read yet. But yeah, her interview was so interesting and gave me so much more perspective. And she also mentioned that if she were to write like a sequel, which she isn't guaranteeing, but she would do like a prequel sequel, and it would be from the perspective of Griffin, who I said is like, I really would love a book from him. And then it would also be in the perspective of Victoire, and she would have like, her question would be more about like time, and I can't how she said it so elegantly, but like her question would be about like time and something. She would use like archives to go through time to tell the story, which would be such a cool concept. So I hope she does that, but I understand that it'd be such a big like undertaking. So then I'm going to end up giving this a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it. I will link that interview that I watched down below. It was just like a quick little interview. But yeah, I really enjoyed this a lot, and I'm so happy that you all chose this for me to read. So thank you so much. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I'll catch you all in my next one. Bye.